Welcome back to this channel. Today we will be studying the novel called The Famous Five, Chapter 2, The Strange Cousin. So without wasting further time, let's start Yashwant Rathod.
Yashwant Rathod Prabhu.
Yes.
Okay,
The
Vishal.
Strange Cousin, Chapter 2. The children's aunt had been watching for the car. She came running out of the old wooden door as soon as she saw it drop outside. The children liked the look of her at once. Welcome to Kirin, she cried. Hello! Hello, all of you. It's lovely to see you. And what big children. There were kisses all around.
All around?
There were all round.
Hmm.
And then the children went into the house. They liked it.
They liked it. It felt old and rather mysterious somehow. And the furniture was old and very beautiful. Where is Georgina? Asked Anne. Looking round for her unknown cousin. Oh, the naughty girl! I told her to wait in the garden for you, said her aunt. Now she has gone off somewhere, I must tell you. Children, you may find George a bit difficult at first. She has always been one on her own, and at first may not like you being here, but you must not take any notice of that. She'll be all right in a short time. I was very glad for George's sake that you were able to come. She badly needs other children to play with. Do you call her George? Asked Annie in surprise. I thought her name was Georgina.
So it is, said her aunt. But George hates being a girl, and we have to call her George, as if she were a boy. The naughty girl won't answer if we call her Georgina. The children thought that Georgina sounded rather exciting. They wished she would come, but she didn't. Their uncle Quentin suddenly appeared instead. He was a most extraordinary looking man, very tall, very dark, and with a rather fierce frown on his wide forehead. Hello, Quentin, said Daddy. It's a long time since I've seen you. I hope these three won't disturb you very much in your work. Quentin is working on a difficult book, said Aunt Fanny, but I've given him a room all to himself on the outer side of the house.
Other side of the.
On the other side of the house. So I don't expect he will be disturbed. Their uncle looked at the three children and nodded to them. The frown didn't come off his face, and they all felt a little scared and were glad that he was to work in another part of the house. Where's George? He said in a deep voice. Where's gone off somewhere again? Gone off somewhere again, said Aunt Fanny. Vexed, मतलब
विवादग्रस्त विवादास्पद कठिनाई चिंता आदि उत्पन्न करने वाला causing difficulty worry and a lot of discussion. Okay, vexed. Okay,
Huh.
said Aunt Fanny.
Vexed.
Hmm.
I told her she was to stay here and meet her cousins. She wants a good talking to. Said she wants a good talking to. Said Uncle Quentin. The children couldn't quite make out whether he was joking or not. She wants a good talking to, मतलब?
उनको कोई चाहिए जो बात करने के लिए.
Well, children, I hope you have a good time here, and maybe you will knock a little common sense into George. There was no room at Kiran Cottage
For mother and daddy to stay the night, so after a hurried supper, they left to stay at a hotel in the nearest town. They would drive back to London immediately after breakfast the next day. So they said goodbye to the children that night. Georgina still hadn't appeared. I'm sorry we haven't seen Georgina, said mother. Just give her our love and tell her we hope she'll enjoy playing with Dick, Julian, and Annie. Then mother and daddy went. The children felt a little bit lonely as they saw the big car disappear round the corner of the road, but Aunt Fanny took them upstairs to show them their bedrooms, and they soon forgot to be sad. The two boys were to sleep together in a room with slanting ceilings.
Slanting ceilings मतलब
Slanting में टेढ़ा हुआ ऐसे
ceilings मतलब
छत
टेढ़ी
एट एंगल पे
ceilings दिखाओ.
ये अंदर रूम ऐसे टेढ़ा हो अपने तो ऊपर ऊपर का प्लेन होता है ठीक है यहाँ पे तो एंगल पे है ये सीधा नहीं है ठीक है ये एंगल पे है ये एंगल पे गॉट इट
तो कौन सी प्रकार का था ऐसा अच्छा खासा था या फिर ऐसा टेढ़ा मेढ़ा अजीब सा
इस तरह का था इस तरह का
इस तरह का कैसे कह सकते
इस तरह का
हो इस तरह का कैसे कह
बिकॉज
सकते
स्लैंटिंग सीलिंग था ना इसलिए आई डिडंट गो देयर विशा हाउ डू आई नो
हो मे बी दिस वन ओनली ओके आगे
okay ceilings at the top of the house start
It had a marvelous view of the bay. The boys were really delighted with it. Annie was to sleep with Georgina in a smaller room whose windows looked over the moors. Moors matlab
moors you want to see
Moor.
a wild open area of highland that is covered with grass and heather घास से ढका उच्च भूमि का खुला वन्य क्षेत्र बंजर या अनुर्वर भूमि मतलब ऊपर का थोड़ा हिस्सा इसमें घास घास लगी हुई है विंडो टाइप का ठीक है घास का एरिया हो ओके ओपन एरिया वाइल्ड ओपन एरिया ऑफ द हाईलैंड दैट इज कवर्ड विद ग्रास एंड हेदर ओके मोर
Moor.
मोर दिस वे दिस इज ओपन एरिया मोर घास घास है ना थोड़ा ओके
दिखाओ दोबारा दिखाना मूर का एरिया ये तो छत पे नहीं है
छत पे नहीं है लेकिन बाहर है ना बाहर का तो है ना ओपन एरिया to see didn't you see what is it a wild open area of highland okay ये सब घास से ढकी हुई है ये सारे घास से ढकी हुई है ना ये एरिया ये पूरा एरिया घास से ढका हुआ है और हाईलैंड पे है थोड़ा ऊंची भूमि पे है ओके दैट्स कॉल्ड moors so read it whose windows looked over the moors at the back of the house looked over the moors means पहाड़ के जो एरिया है ना थोड़ा सा जहाँ घास वगैरह है वो एरिया moors
उस तरफ थी खिड़कियाँ
हाँ
But one side window looked over the sea, which pleased Annie very much.
तो एक तरफ तो समुद्र था एक तरफ moors था
हाँ.
ओके
It was a nice room, and red roses nodded their heads at the window. Red roses nodded their heads मतलब
गुलाब के फूल थे लाल वाले जो उनकी तरफ से झुके हुए थे ऐसे हैं ओके
I do wish Georgina would come, Annie said to her aunt. I want to see what she's like. Well, she's a funny little girl.
she's a funny little girl
She's a funny little girl, said her aunt. She can be a very rude and haughty. Haughty matlab?
Haughty.
proud and thinking that you are better than other people कमंडी और स्वयं को दूसरों से बेहतर समझना दम्भी उद्वत ओके आई थिंक यू अंडरस्टूड राइट
Haughty.
दिखाओ हॉटी की पिक्चर.
हॉटी की पिक्चर देखना है ये हॉटी की पिक्चर ये देखो ऐसे है ये बच्चा ये है, ठीक है ओके नेक्स्ट विल गो ओके
Haughty little, rude and haughty. But she's kind at heart. Very loyal. मतलब देने वाला है ना loyal.
हाँ लॉयल मिस आप भरोसा रखता है
And very loyal and absolutely truthful. Once she makes friends with you, she will always be your friend. But she finds it very difficult indeed to make friends, which is a great pity. Annie suddenly yawned. The boys
frowned at her because they knew what would happen next, and it did. Poor Annie, how tired you are. You must all go to bed straight away and have a good night. Then you will wake up quite fresh tomorrow, said Aunt Fanny. Annie, you are an idiot, said Dick crossly. when his aunt
क्रॉसली
had
मतलब
गुस्से में क्वाइट से है ठीक है क्रॉसली got it
Crossly.
okay when his aunt had gone out of the room you know quite well what grown-ups think as soon as we yawn I did want to go down on the beach for a while I'm so sorry said Annie somehow I couldn't help it and anyway you are yawning now Dick and Julian too so they were as sleepy as could be with their long drive
ड्राइव मतलब
long drive
हाँ
लॉन्ग ड्राइव कार चला के आए थे ना वो उसको बोलते हैं
हाँ आ गया
secretly all of them longed to cuddle down
तो
into
कडल
bed.
मतलब
तो ऐसे अपने आप को ऐसे घुस जाना ऐसे रजाई के अंदर ऐसे हाथ पैरों को जोड़ लेना ऐसे ओके longed to cuddle long means इच्छा रखना
longed to cuddle down into
into
bed
and
shut their eyes.
what
I wonder where Georgina is, said Annie, when she said good night to the boys, and went to her own room. Isn't she odd, not waiting to welcome us, and not coming into supper मतलब
दिन का आखिरी भोजन रात को सोने से पहले खाया गया शाम का मुख्य भोजन या देर में लिया गया नाश्ता ओके द लास्ट मील ऑफ द डे either the main meal of the evening or a small meal that you eat quite late not long before you go to bed okay डिनर के बाद में कुछ लोग खाना खाते हैं तो उसको बोलते हैं सपर ओके कंटिन्यू
and not coming into supper, and not even and yet after all she's sleeping in my room. Goodness knows what time she'll be in. All the three children were fast asleep before Georgina came up to bed.
came
Up to bed. They didn't hear her open Annie's door. They didn't hear her get undressed and clean her teeth. They didn't hear the creak of her bed as she got into it. They were so tired that they heard nothing at all until the sun awoke them in the morning. Then when Annie awoke, she couldn't at first think where she was.
She lay in her little bed and looked up at the slanting ceiling and at the red roses that nodded at the open window and suddenly remembered all in a rush where she was. I'm at Green Bay and it's the holidays, she said to herself and screwed up her legs with joy.
Screwed up मतलब
Screw up.
Something to fail or go wrong. होता है ना बिगाड़ना ऐसे काम होता है crushed a piece of paper or fabric into a tight mass okay cause something to fail or go wrong okay something go wrong
यानी नहीं कुछ गलत हो गया
क्यों
and screwed up her
and screwed up her legs with joy
मतलब
okay screwed up her legs with joy joy के साथ उसे उछला या लगा कुछ ऐसे
okay
इसलिए ठीक है then she looked across at the other bed in it lay the figure of another child curled up under the bed clothes and could just see the top of a curly head and that was all when the figure stirred a little and he spoke I say are you Georgina
stirred मतलब
where is that
stirred
घूमना stir okay the child in the opposite bed sat up and looked across at Annie. She had very short curly hair, almost as short as a boy's. Her face was burned a dark brown with the sun, and her very
blue eyes looked as bright as forget-me-nots in her face. Forget-me-nots मतलब
ऐसे बोलते कि ओके मुझसे बात मत करो मुझे भूल जाओ
हाँ
ऐसा एक्सप्रेशन
forget-me-nots in her face, but her mouth was rather sulky मतलब
उदास
rather sulky, and she had a frown मतलब
फ्रॉन बताया था ना मैंने
ऐसे
हाँ
and had a frown like her father's. No, she said, I am not Georgina. Oh, said Annie in surprise. And who are you? I'm George, said the girl. I shall only answer if you call me George. I hate being a girl. I won't be. I don't like doing things that girls do. I like doing the things that boys do. I can climb better than any boy and swim faster too. I can sail a boat as well as any fisher boy on this coast. You're to call me George, then I'll speak to you, but I shan't if you don't. Oh, said Annie, thinking that her new cousin was most extraordinary. All right, I don't care what you call me.
What I call you?
What I call you. George is a nice name, I think. I don't much like Georgina. Anyway, you look like a boy. Do I really? Said George, the frown leaving her face for a moment. Mother was awfully cross with me when I cut my hair short. Awful. I had hair all round my neck. It was awful. The two girls stared at one another for a moment. Don't you simply hate being a girl? Asked George. No, of course not, said Annie. You see, I do look pretty frocks.
I do look.
I do like pretty frocks, and I love my dolls. And you can't do that if you're a boy. Pooh! Fancy bothering about pretty frocks, said George in a scornful matlab?
ऐसे बोलते नहीं चिड़चिड़ा से ऐसे
In a scornful voice. And dolls, well, you're a baby. That's all I can say. And he felt offended, matlab?
ऑफर में मैंने कि उसको बुरा लगा.
Offended. You're not very polite, she said. You won't find that my brothers take much notice of you if you act as if you know everything. They're real boys. Do not pretend boys.
Not pretend boys.
Like you? Well, if they're going to be nasty to me, I shan't take any notice of them. Shan't
Shall not.
Shan't matlab?
Shall not.
Sorry, nasty matlab.
Nasty में बदमाश से.
I shan't take any notice of them matlab?
वो अगर मुझे देखेंगे नहीं तो मेरा ध्यान इग्नोर करेंगे तो. Shall take any notice. Notice में ध्यान देना. Notice में ध्यान देना.
Said George, jumping out of bed. I didn't want any of you to come anyway, interfering with my life here. I'm quite happy on my own. Now I've got to pull up
Pull up.
put up with a silly girl who likes frocks and dolls and two stupid cousins.
Boy cousins.
And two stupid boy cousins. And he felt that they had made a very bad beginning. She said no more, but got dressed herself too. She put on her grey jeans and red jersey. Jersey matlab? Jersey.
स्वेटर जैसे होता है.
Huh?
जैकेट जैसा.
Huh. Her red jersey. George put on jeans too and a boy's jersey. Jersey matlab?
Jersey. Okay.
ये कहने का टी-शर्ट है.
चैन भी होती है ना. हाँ आगे.
यानी मैं जर्सी पहन रही हूँ.
हाँ जर्सी आपके पास.
Oh, good.
हाँ next.
And a boy's jersey. Just as they were ready, the boys hammered on their door.
हमें खटखटाने से.
हाँ.
दम दम दम.
Aren't you ready? Is Georgina there? Cousin Georgina? Come out and see us. George flung matlab?
ऐसे ऊपर से उठना. Flung open the door. ऐसे खींचते हैं ना door को open करना.
And flung open the door and marched out with her head high. She took no notice of the two surprised boys at all. She stalked matlab?
जाना walk करना है.
She stalked downstairs. The other three looked at one another.
Other children.
The other three children looked at one another.
So this is the photo. She is the one. Georgina. Okay, don't call her Georgina, otherwise she won't like it. She won't like you and she won't talk to you. The way she is not talking to others. And who is she? Annie. And who are these?
Three.
One is Julian and
Jennifer.
yeah. So,
She won't answer if you call her Georgina, explained Annie. She's awfully funny, I think. She says she didn't want us to come because we'll interfere with her. She laughed at me and was rather rude. Julian put his arm
around.
around Annie, who looked a bit dollyful, matlab.
Doleful.
Dollful, matlab.
Doll भी doll का will say exact meaning. What I understand is that doleful means
Dolly
उदास.
उधर है.
उदास हाँ. Doleful उदास है ना. So meaning doleful.
Dollful.
Sad or unhappy. Okay.
Doleful.
Okay. You want to see the facial expression? See it this way. This way doleful. Okay. अगर आप पिक्चर देखते हो तो आपको मीनिंग हमेशा याद रहता है बेटा ज़्यादा टाइम तक only looked a bit doleful.
Cheer up, he said. You've got us to stick up for you. Come on down to breakfast. They were all hungry. The smell of bacon and eggs was very
Bacon.
good. Bacon and eggs were very good.
Was very good.
Was very good. What is bacon?
Bacon एक वो होता है
No.
नॉन वेजिटेरियन मीट
Okay. Okay.
You want to see?
No.
Let's see. We'll have to remember it.
अरे तो bacon किसको खाना है?
खाना तो नहीं है लेकिन we should know ना somebody says bacon so at least we should be able to understand this one okay okay next कर दिया बंदा वीडियो
The smell of bacon and eggs was very good. They ran down to the stairs and said good morning to their aunt. She was just bringing the breakfast to the table. Their uncle was sitting at the head reading his paper. He nodded at the children. They sat down without a word, wondering if they were allowed to speak at meals. They always were at home,
they always were at home
but their uncle Quentin looked rather fierce. आगे.
George was there buttering a piece of toast. She scolded at the three children.
Scowl मतलब?
ऐसे चलो ना ऐसे
दोबारा बता.
you want to see that is called face ऐसे थोड़ा नाराज में मुंह से निकलता है see yeah like this the face okay understood now got it yeah where are we
Don't look like that, George, said
she's
her
called at the
three children.
three children. Don't look like that, George, said her mother. I hope you have made friends already. It will be fun for you to play together. You must take your cousins to see the bay this morning and show them the best places to bath. I'm going fishing, said George. Her father looked up at once. You're not, he said. You are going to show a few good manners for a change and take your cousins to the bay. Do you hear me? Yes, said George with a scowl exactly like her father's. Oh, we can go to the bay by ourselves, all right, if George is going fishing, said Annie at once, thinking that it would be nice not to have George if she was in a bad temper. George will do exactly as she is told, said her father. If she doesn't, I shall deal with her. So after breakfast, four children got ready to go down to the beach. An easy path led down to the bay, and they ran down happily. Even George lost her frown as she felt the warmth of the sun and saw the dancing sparkles on the blue sea. You go fishing if you want to, said Annie when they were down on the beach. We won't tell tales on you. We don't want to interfere with you, you know. We have got ourselves for company, and if you don't want to be with us, you need not. Read up, sure.
But we would like you all the same if you would like to be with us, said Julian generously. He thought George was rude and ill-mannered, but he couldn't help rather liking the look of the straight-backed, short-haired little girl with her brilliant blue eyes and sulky mouth. sulky मतलब दोबारा बता
उदास.
and sulky mouth. George stared at him. I'll see, she said. I don't make friends with people just because they are my cousins. Or something silly like that. I only make friends with people if I like them. So do we, said Julian. We may not like you, of course. Oh, said George, as if that thought hadn't occurred to her. Oh, well, you may not, of course. Lots of people don't like me, now I come to think of it. Annie was staring out over the blue bay at the entrance to it. Lay a curious rocky island with what looked like an old ruined castle on top of it.
On the top of it.
On the top of it is शुरू हो जाओ.
Isn't that a funny place? She said. I wonder what it's called. It's called Kirin Island, said George, her eyes as blue as the sea as she turned to look at it. It's a lovely place to go to. If I like you, I may take you there someday. But I don't promise. The only way to get there is by boat. Who does the funny island belong to? Asked Julian. George made a most surprising answer. It belongs to me, she said. At least it will belong to me someday. It will be my very own island and my very own castle. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. That's all in this video. We have finished this chapter and we'll come back again with the next chapter. Thank you so much for watching this video.
Upcycling.
And pardon us for the background noise.